Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Jamaat al-Muslimin, and to all my people and fellow humans around the world. So I've just come back from Makkah and Medina, and I've had an absolutely amazing time. It was an experience of a lifetime. I truly believe it's an experience that every single Muslim around the world should do in their lifetime. So this was obviously part of my pilgrimage. I did the Umrah. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, I'll still go on Hajj. So for lots of people who don't know what it's all about, so basically going on Umrah, the word basically means going to a populated area, and the populated area that I obviously went to has been Makkah and Medina. So I first started my journey in Medina, which is basically where the Prophet ﷺ lived and where he died, and also it's a place where he settled in after the birth of Islam. So when I got there, obviously for me this was an amazing experience, because the people, they actually call the place the city, the illuminated city. It's the city of peace. And now our Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessings be upon him. And again, for lots of the people who don't know why we also say things like after most of our Prophet's names, as well as the name of God, we will normally say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means the most benevolent, the most merciful. It basically encompasses the full name of it. That's why normally some people will say it says Allah SWT. And then also PBUH means peace and blessings upon him. So if ever you saw someone says the Nabi Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is just basically the Arabic term for peace and blessings be upon him. So I mean, that's just to give you a little bit of introduction as well. So I went from Cape Town, I made my way from here to Dubai. From Dubai we went into Jeddah airport. From Jeddah we took a nice bus drive all the way into Medina. I think it was an amazing experience coming in there for the first time. Big buildings. I mean, if you look at how the Arabs build their buildings, it's lots of huge buildings. Even the normal shops have huge arches in there. For me, that was obviously the first time seeing this stuff for the first time. But the most, I think, profound thing that you get when you get there is the sense of peace. Like, I don't think I've ever felt that in my entire life of going anywhere. You know, normally people say they need to go home because it's their sanctuary, it's their place of peace, or they need to just get away for a while because they need to find peace. I'm telling you, as soon as you get into Medina, you find out what real peace actually feels like on earth, because obviously we believe that the true eternal peace happens only when you eat Jannah, or after you pass, so when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you into his paradise. But being there for the first time and knowing that our beloved Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lives here, had lived here, and his body is here, and his family is buried here as well, and it's a place that he knew was going to be an illuminated city, something out of this world. Because one of the big things that we did there was obviously pray in Masjid al-Nabawi, which is the big mosque there of the Prophet, which is called the Prophet's Mosque. And then an amazing thing that you get to do there is to go visit the gravesite of our Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's like a little doorway in, and I mean there's gold everywhere. So as you come inside there, you get to greet him, because on the left hand side it is the gravesites of the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and Umar radiallahu anhu, as well as Aisha radiallahu anhu, who also lived there, who's also buried there as well. So when you get to the shrine of where he's buried, there's these golden doors. So you greet him. So you say, Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm telling you, I even get goosebumps right now. I think any Muslim that has ever made the pilgrimage to Medina and to Makkah, the feeling you get when you greet our Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's unleveled. The amount of smiles you have, you can't stop smiling. You have a sense of peace. You get goosebumps all over your body. And lots of people ask me, Mr.Meyer, so when you got back, so what was it like? I was like, I honestly felt like someone was hugging my soul. For Islam, it felt like someone was giving my ruh a hug, and it felt like everything was going to be okay. And even in that moment, you feel like, you know what? If I should die here in this place, it's okay, because that's the level of peace you feel and satisfaction. Any worries that you had about at home, with work, with stress, I mean, because obviously at the end of the day, we're still normal human beings that have jobs. We have to wake up every day. We have children, we have work, we have deadlines, we have debts that we need to pay off, and all these kind of things. I'm telling you, if you land there and you inside the space of, this holy space, all those things become non-existent. It's the last thing that's basically on your mind. And also obviously praying in the mosque, every single walk was really nice. And then another amazing thing is that the people don't sleep. I mean, the shops stayed open. The only time any of these shops closed was during prayer times. So during prayer times, which is 5 times a day for Muslims, which is Fajr, as Fajr, as Dhuhr, as Asr, as Maghrib and Isha. So these times of prayer times, this is when all the shops would maybe close for a couple of minutes. But other than that, you could go buy yourself food at 5 in the morning, 3 in the morning. You can go buy yourself sweaters, you can buy yourself salat tops, scarves, Qurans, all these things you could basically buy at any time of the day, no matter what. And there's a sense of peace and tranquility in the city, and they call it the city of peace and tranquility because essentially that it's very fun, it's very peaceful. Such of the fact is that we have obviously living in our country, there's drugs, there's gangsterism, there is clubs, there's alcohol, there's people fighting. I mean, these are the things that happen obviously all around the world, but in these holy cities, none of the stuff exists. I think everyone is just kind of geared on praying. And also they say most of the people that have an opportunity to make pilgrimage, they are handpicked by God, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to come there to obviously see this for the first time. So everybody who's there is basically on the same journey. They're there to pray, they're there to fulfill their Islamic obligations, they're there to pray, they're there to greet the Nabi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're there to pray and they're there to read the Quran and obviously just spread the word of peace and love with and amongst each other. So I mean, that was really an amazing experience for me. So obviously we went to Medina first. Some of the landmarks we visited was obviously Masjid al-Nabawi, then obviously it's the grave of the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then we kind of went to the outskirts of Medina as well. We went to go visit Masjid al-Quba. As I was told, Masjid al-Quba is one of the first places that the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam basically stopped at as he came into Medina. The mosque, this is one of the mosques that he actually built with his own hands, and it's a mosque that he prayed in. And also some people believe there's a certain spot inside the mosque that if one should pray there, I'm not too sure, I stand under correction, if it's a Wednesday or a Saturday afternoon, you get the reward of a Hajj just praying inside that mosque, because our beloved Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam helped build this mosque with his own hands. So that was quite a big spot to go visit. It was Masjid al-Quba. If anyone should go to Medina, Masjid al-Quba is definitely a must to go visit. We went to go see where the battle of Badr happened. We went to see where the battle of Uhud happened. So these are different hills and like mountains with inside Medina that you go to visit. And then you get to see, and you get the battle of Trench. And we also visit so many different mosques, because many mosques were obviously built there. Mosques that were named after the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's children, his wives, as well as some of the companions of him. So we get to go visit all these different mosques. We drove all around Medina. Like I said, a very calm city. It doesn't have a big hustle and bustle. Everybody seems really calm. And yeah, I mean, I think that's what the most important parts. This is all in Medina. And then we obviously had to make our way to Makkah, which is about 6 hours with a bus, and I think about 3 hours with a train to get from Medina to Makkah. And this is actually the journey, the hijrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put upon the Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to do when he went from Makkah to Medina. I think it took him about 9 days. Again, I stand under correction. It took us about 6 hours, obviously by bus. When you get into Makkah, it's much more cosmopolitan. It's very busy. It's a hustle and bustle. There are lots of Umrahis coming there. There are a lot of pilgrims coming in there. Everybody coming to circumambulate the ancient house. So everybody kind of moves. It's a very fast-paced thing. I mean, you hear cars hooting. So I mean, if you juxtapose Makkah versus Medina, very calm, very tranquil. When you get into Makkah, it's a very fast-paced thing, and like it's about business, it's about moving, it's about getting to the house and fulfilling your obligations. So what we had to do was, from Medina, we had to get dressed, we had to put an ihram, we obviously had to make our niyyah, which is an intention, and niyyah is intention to now perform our umrah, to go perform our visiting of this populated place and visiting obviously the sacred house. So we basically had to put on our ihram, we had to go into a mosque. We made 2 raka'at salah. So basically in the salah you make the intention that God himself accepts what you are about to do. So you put on ihram, which is basically 2 pieces of, like, let's say towel that you put on your top and your bottom. You're basically completely naked under them, and you aren't allowed to basically touch your beard. You aren't allowed to scratch, because as you put your ihram on and you make this intention, you aren't allowed to scratch. Even if a few pieces of your beard should fall off, this will also, let's say, nullify basically what you're about to do. So you're not supposed to scratch. Maybe you could rub, and I'm telling you, lots of people do it for the first time. They're like, but I'm not itching or anything like it. As soon as you put this thing on, all of a sudden you get a scratch out of nowhere on your leg, because now you know that you can't maybe scratch yourself. So we make the intention, we get onto the bus, And as we're driving in towards Makkah, as we come into the borders of Makkah, so now you obviously have to do the talbiyah, and you have to now start reciting as well as you go in, which is La baik Allah sharika laka la baik innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika la baik Allahumma la baik la sharika laka la baik innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk La sharika la. So what people also don't understand what that is, when you recite this, is basically saying, yeah, I am God, yeah, I am at your service, yeah, I am God, I am at your service, yeah, I am. It's basically saying that you have come from whatever land you are from, whatever foreign land, but you have come to circumambulate the ancient house. So when you get inside this, so now you have to go down into, so you basically, you inside the bus, you get off, and you now have to make your way straight into the haram. So you have to first get onto the mataf. Obviously when you get in there, it's very full, it's packed. People from all around the world are there. I mean, for this month of Ramadan, I think we had 22 million people that had visited the Holy Lands. On Laylatul Qadr itself, I think there were about 2 million people inside Makkah, inside the haram, which was, it was completely packed. I mean, I'm telling you, it's people from Iran, from Pakistan, from Egypt, from America, New Zealand, everywhere in the world where there are Muslims, China, Uzbekistan, everywhere around the world, South Africa, all these Muslims are basically here for the same thing, which is basically presenting themselves to God and also to atone themselves for some of the sins they've done in their lifetime. So also they believe during this process is where you basically cleanse yourself of all the sins that you've done in your life, and also to ask for forgiveness for all the wrongs that you may have done like prior within your lifetime. So it's basically, it's a spiritual cleansing of the human being, and also just offering your prayers, and saying that you love to pray and you want to be in service of God for the rest of your life. And so you get inside, you get onto the mataf, you go inside. So this was quite an interesting experience for me. We obviously had to make intention. This is now part of the Umrah. We get inside, we first have to make a dua, which is basically a prayer to say, you know what, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept what we are about to do and accept us being here, and also thank Him for allowing us to enter into the sacred house, because again, we believe in Islam, you are handpicked to be in this place during this time. You go inside, you go down an escalator. So the brothers that you are with, it obviously that have been here for a long time, the matawf, basically the leader of your journey, there will tell you, listen here, don't look at the Kaaba for the first time, because you might catch a glimpse of it. And obviously for Islam, for us people who are born Muslim, we get to see so many amazing things. But obviously the Kaaba is such a huge thing within Islam, because we all know how important the sacred house is, and we know who prayed them, we know who built the sacred house, and also why it was one of the orders that God had given to the Prophet Abraham, and to his son Ishmael alayhi salam. So this was the thing that was built. So you get in, they tell you don't look at it, you come down, and basically everybody prays together. And now we're about to start our tawaf. So the tawaf is basically when you circle the sacred house. So when you look up for the first time, and I think you're just in awe. All I can say is you do like you get this deep gasp, because you're looking at this thing for the first time, because you've obviously heard about it, you've seen it like on pictures and photos, but it's the first time seeing it up close, and you can't believe you're there, you're super overwhelmed. So we go around the Kaaba 7 times, and obviously reciting, following one of the spiritual leaders. They're giving us some of the du'as, because obviously all of us don't know it off by heart. Some people know it off by heart, but we recite every time we circle the house. We have a different dua that we basically, a different prayer that we recite as you go around. And at this time you have your ihram on, but now you take your ihram over your right shoulder. You open your right shoulder. So when you walk, you have your left shoulder facing the Kaaba, but your right shoulder is open, and you walk around and you do the prayer. And obviously this is you with a few million people from all around the world all doing this thing at the same time. When you get to Hajar al-Aswad, which is basically the piece of heaven that we believe God sent down, that was basically put on the corner side of the Kaaba. When you get that part, when you pause there, everyone says Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and basically lifts their hands up as they face the Hajar al-Aswad. And then you kind of keep going, and there are many du'as. I think one of the most important du'as that I kind of heard as we go along around there was La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahu mulk wa la hamdu yuhyi wa yumiitu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir, and it's Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar, which essentially just means, May God grant us goodness in this life, goodness in the year after for us and our parents, and protect us from the fire of Jahannam, which we believe is the fire of eternal hell. And so basically, you asking for forgiveness, and asking for atonement. You do the house 7 times. Straight after that, you go into the right, I think the left side corner. You make 2 raka'ats, which is basically two units of prayer, just to say thank you for allowing you to do that. And then you make your way to Safa and Marwa. Again, what lots of people believe, that the story of why this also happens, why people go to Safa and Marwa, because I think of Hajara, who went there basically to look for water for a child, and basically had to walk this distance between Safa and Marwa, asking God for help in just getting water and getting food for a child. So we basically do this walk up and down. So again, 7 times you go between Safa and Marwa, which is basically 2 hills inside Makkah, and then you go up and down 7 times. And as soon as you finish there, then you have to go cut a piece of your hair. I basically cut all my hair off. I think lots of people saw the videos or the photos of myself. I was completely bald, so basically cutting off all the hairs, also like saying like getting rid of all of your sins, and so then you cut all your hair off. Some people only cut a piece of their, I've decided for the full spiritual experience, I cut all my hair off. I did what they call a khalq, and that was basically shaving my hair all off. And right after that, everybody says Umrah Maqbool. Basically saying, may God accept your visit to the Holy House, because you have now fulfilled all the obligations of that mission. So anyone, before you go, obviously lots of people say, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you strength to fulfill your obligations. And I think these du'as are so important, because you do need a lot of strength. I thought about my mother, I thought about my grandmother that have passed away, I thought about my family members that had not been there yet, and realizing how much effort and how much strength it actually takes to do it, because it's really not an easy thing to obviously do all this stuff, because it does take its toll on the body. But I think it shouldn't be easy. Essentially, if it's something that you're doing for God, or for the atonement of your sins, and to come to someone so spiritual, it's gonna take a little bit of effort. But I mean, to anyone who has gone, I think you can attest to what the journey was like, circumambulating the sacred house, to doing Safa and Marwa, and doing all of it, especially with so many people there. I think that in itself was quite strenuous on the body. But alhamdulillah, man, for everyone that has done it and who still wants to do it, I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it possible for all of you. So I think for me it was a really amazing experience. And then obviously, just want to say another thing is, when I did my sunnah tawaf, that's basically when you come again. This is not doing a full umrah, because obviously when you are in, lots of people also don't know, you can do many umrahs when you are in Makkah, but you'd have to leave and go to a miqat, which is outside the borders of Makkah, and you have to come inside and do the whole process again. But when you just do the sunnah tawaf, is maybe putting on your ihram and still going down to the Kaaba, obviously to making your salah and doing your 7 times tawaf. This is the second time I went down, and I saw the sacred house for the second time. I think lots of people saw the video I posted onto TikTok. I cried, you know what I mean, because there is an energy around this place that is like something you've never felt in your whole life. And I mean, I've been around, but I've never been at a place like this. And you get there for the first time, the second time you see it, now you're not overwhelmed. Now all the sort of emotions start to set in you, like, how am I even here, how did God find me worthy to bring me to this place? And like, you think about all the things that you've done wrong in your life, all the people that you may have hurt in your life, and the things that you may have done wrong, and also your hopes and dreams and like ambitions for the future, what you hope for, and you realize that you're not in control of any of those things. And so when you get there, you just start crying. I actually made a video at one point, but I didn't want to make a video of myself crying or anything. This was literally just me trying to show people that I've made it to the front of the ancient house, or the sacred house, because not many people get to actually touch it. And it's a lot of dream for people to touch this place, because with all, I mean, imagine 22 million people there, for you to touch it is so, it's so hard. And some people never even make it within 500 meters. But here I am, all the way from Cape Town, South Africa, and I made it right in front. I was at the Multazam area. I touched Hajar al-Aswad. I grabbed onto the stairs. I kissed the left, west, and the east side of the sacred house. I touched it, and I got the opportunity to put both my hands on it, and I prayed. And during this time when I made this video, I just thought, like, you know what, I just wanted to show family members, look, I've made it here, in case you're wondering. And just a burst of emotion just came down, and it's something that you can't, there's nothing you can do to let it, to like keep it back. You will just start crying, and tears of gratitude, sadness, and just general asking for forgiveness will kind of roll from your face without you, because there is a certain power and energy around there that is, like, I can't even explain it. That's why I would say every single person who watches has to go visit themselves. You have to go Umrah, you have to go on Hajj, you have to go visit the ancient house, you have to go see why it's so important to visit the Baytullah. Because once you hit the front of the Kaaba, there are going to be so many du'as that you think you had in your mind. I'm telling you, all of a sudden they'll just disappear, and like it's almost like being on stage and just everything just disappears. Like you're an actor or you're doing a movie, whatever. You had so many things that you wish to say and it will all disappear. Because once you have the ikhlas, that's in sincerity in your heart, and you're there and you know exactly why you're there, and you know that you're just a human being, and you know that you've been a sinner, and you know that you've done so many wrong things in your life, and you know that you so badly just want to be entered into the kingdom of heaven one day when you die, because we believe so badly in the afterlife, and the deeds we do in this life will either take us to heaven or to hell, which is Jannah and Jahannam. And every single Muslim prays that they get Jannah, and every single Muslim prays that their family members that have passed away are granted Jannah to Firdaus, which is the highest level of Jannah. So when you get there, you pray for this thing, and I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. And that's where I cried. And there were many different days where I didn't even have my phone with me, and every time I got there, I broke my fast in front of the Kaaba. I think I made Maghrib in front of the Kaaba, I made Fajr in front of the Kaaba. And all these times, when just before it was about time to break our fast, we had about 20 minutes ago, I recall me and a group of guys were sitting in front, and all of us just prayed before we were going to have our dates in our water to break our fast. And I was sitting in front of the most holy places in my religion, and the first time, and I'm right in front of 22 million people coming in and out of the place. I was right in front, and there I was sitting, and I even have the photos and videos to show how we sat there. And we prayed and we cried, all of us. I'm talking, these are grown men from all around the world, women, men, everybody cries there because of the spiritual energy that one can feel there. And I think that in itself was one of the most beautiful and most amazing experiences of my life. What you realize is when you're inside Makkah and Medina, you realize every single person prays. Like when you're in Cape Town or you're in different parts of the world, you know that there's so many different religions and so many creeds. And obviously us as being Muslim people, we have respect to every single religion that exists. Doesn't matter what you are, we respect that. And but again, for Muslims themselves, when you go there, sometimes Muslims don't always pray all their prayers 5 times a day. Just some people around the world. But when you get there, you realize the whole country prays together. You basically have 2 to 3, 4 million, 5 million all praying at the same time. Here by us, sometimes mosques get a little bit empty after the holy nights are done. The mosques start to get a little bit empty, and you have imams from all around, and sheikhs always asking people, please come to the house of Allah, please come to the mosque, because we believe every single mosque is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're like, come to the house of Allah, because people start to drift away. And obviously we live in a much more, let's say, Western society here. So people are watching movies, they're going out, they're going with their friends, they're visiting here, they're doing sports and all those kind of things. But when you're in the Holy Land, you realize the core reason for your existence as a Muslim is to pray 5 times a day, and to make sure that you are in a state of ibadah all the time. So what I can bring back there is obviously something that I have been doing, but also to implement it even stronger in my life, is to make sure that I don't miss a single prayer, to pray 5 times a day, to always make dua, to always be grateful, to always be thankful. And now that I'm home, it's like my heart yearns to go back, and lots of people will tell you every time they've gone, they want to go back again, because the sense of peace and the immense love for your religion, and seeing how beautiful it is, and how caring people are, how sharing people are. People basically not fight, but like they for you to come eat for free with them, because they know the blessing of feeding someone who is fasting. They know the blessing of helping someone who doesn't have. People basically rush to help other people there. And if you see something like that, you know what, something actually really amazing happened to me. I was on the bus, I was in Ajiyat Street, and I just came off the Mataf. I was in the Haram, I was at the Kaaba. I fulfilled my obligations for the evening. I made all my salahs. We had our night prayer. I got into the bus and I was on my way back to the hotel, which is in Ajiyat Street. And I got into the bus. Lots of people don't know there are buses that go in and to and from the Haram, which is basically for free. And people basically run and jump, try to get into these buses, because these buses drive all night. So you get into this bus, and I'm sitting in this bus, and I meet this guy. He's from Morocco. I think he's from Morocco. His name is Abu Bakr Siddiq, and he's sitting right there next to me, and he could speak a little bit of English. And this was quite a cool experience for me. And he speak a little bit of English, and I'm like, he's like, where you from? I'm like, no, I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. He's like, oh, Africa. Africa. He's like, no, not Africa. Arabia. So lots of people, they assume maybe some of us are Arab or Egyptian, because some people also don't know that they are, white or colored or brown people living in Africa. When you say Africa, they just think it as a different type of continent where they aren't mixed race people there. So I'm like, no, I am from South Africa. I'm from Cape Town. He's like, okay, so he's from Morocco, and he has this really nice top on, a Salah top on, and I could see it's brand new, but I just liked, because I haven't seen one like that yet, and I saw the color for the first time, and I was like, but I made a joke with him. I was like, I really like this top, and how about you give it to me? He takes the stop off inside the bus and he says, here you go, we are brothers, take this to me, take this for you. I said, no, are you crazy? I can't accept it. I was making a joke. I was just like, that's a nice stop, how about you give it to me? And he basically forced me to take it. He's like, you know what we need to realize, us as being Muslims, that we are brothers. And then if your brother wants something or is in need of something and you are able to help him, then help him. That was such a humbling experience for me, because he gave it to me. He's like, I just bought it this morning. Here's a kufiya as well, and he gave it to me. And this was his form of giving sadaqah or lillah, or doing something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I really wasn't that adamant on having it, but I did find it very nice. And because I thought to myself, if I could find it, I'd probably try and buy it myself. He gave it to me. That experience taught me that even now when I get home is to be more charitable towards people, to help more people if I can. If I find someone in need, and to genuinely and sincerely want to help them, or to do something, not even for my sake, but for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think that the most important thing coming back is, make sure you pray 5 times a day, make sure you make the dua, make sure you give charity, make sure you love your fellow Muslims around the world, and just to be a good person in genuine, and like a genuine person to every single person that you know, and to completely and continue fulfilling your Islamic obligations. But for my side, Mr. Meyer, Umrah Maqbool, it was a beautiful time. And to everyone, all my friends and family and people that were there as well, Umrah Maqbool, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. And for you guys who are still going on the journey, I'm excited for you guys. It's something that you will remember for the rest of your life. And I promise you this much, your heart will live inside those holy lands for the rest of your life. And as long as you're home, you'll keep yearning to go back.
رحمن يا رحمن رحمن يا رحمن